Fort Nisqually was a Hudson's Bay Company trading post. The Hudson's Bay Company um, it still exists as a department store in Canada, but originally it was a company established in 1670 in London. It was a British corporation that operated trading posts across what is now Canada and the Pacific Northwest for centuries. And then only in recent years has it become a department store and stuff. Fort Nisqually as a trading post, uh, uh, not as a military fort, in Dupont area, about 1833. And at first it was a house, simply a house on the beach near Sequalitou Creek, mouth of Sequalitou Creek. And then they moved up in the summer of 1833 to what historians with great imagination call the 1833 Fort Nisqually. And that was up on the bluff. And then about 10 years later, they moved the post inland 1 mile to the site that I think you see, the one you walk by, the 1843 Fort Nisqually, which operated till about 1870. And at this post, there were employees of the company, uh, of all nationalities. The top officers tended to be Scottish, English, and Irish, but the other employees, they were French Canadian, Hawaiians, um, Métis, people of mixed Native American and non-Native American descent. Um, Lots of people. Yeah, Native Americans from the East Coast, Native Americans from this area, and they they started with fur trading as their main thing, trading furs from the Native Americans with the employees at the post. And in exchange, they gave them or traded them uh, goods made in England and Europe that was useful to the Native Americans. So there was this Native American, Euro American interaction going on.
Um, this piece of property is owned by the city of Dupont. And when the Warehouser Company was here moving dirt to build Northwest Landing in the 1980s, um, in the process of moving all of that dirt, they uncovered a number of unmarked or unknown graves.
As you know, DuPont has changed a lot. After the company, DuPont company closed its Weyerhaeuser company came in and they developed Northwest Landing, which really expanded the whole community of DuPont. And during the process of building houses and buildings and offices and all that, uh, different burials came across because people have lived here for hundreds, if not thousands of years, Native Americans. And so every time they came across a burial, they would rebury them. They wanted a safe and secure place to rebury them. And so the Sequalitou Cemetery, the cemetery at 1843 site, is in a sense an artificial cemetery in the sense that bodies found elsewhere were brought to that cemetery, but they are all from this area. And they include people that worked at the fort, Hudson's Bay Company employees. They also include many, I'm sure, many Nisqually Indians, and also other Native Americans.
Been concerned about this little cemetery, that it hasn't been well taken care of, and we've wanted to replace the crosses and make sure that it got mowed on a regular basis. So in 2020, every year the Nisqually tribe offers a charitable grant that you can apply for, 501c3s can apply for. And so in 2020 we wrote a grant to the Nisqually tribe and asked to be able to clean up the cemetery, to replace the crosses, and also to do an interpretive sign for it. And so we were awarded $5,000 to do this. So that's what we're hoping to do. The east side of the little reburial cemetery are 4 crosses. Those are unknown Native Americans. And so those crosses will have Native American written on it so that people know who they are.
Okay,
The
wonderful.
reason we think that those crosses are on the east side of the fort is because the Native Americans like to bury their people facing west. And so we think that's the reason that they're on the east side of. The Nisqually tribe had a great deal to do with the blessing and of the graves of the grave sites, the holding of the feasts, and the burial itself of all of the Native Americans that are buried here. So they've all been treated the way that the Nisqually tribe would treat and bury their people.
It's a place that different groups of people, ethnic groups, um, cultural groups, they met each other. And it was a place that people actually worked together. And sometimes, people say multi-ethnic history is something that's been added on, but actually from the very beginning, multi-ethnic history is important. So you have Native Americans, you have Euro Americans, you have American settlers. Um, One person, for example, the famous African American settler named George Bush in Tumwater, he actually went up to the fort and worked up there for a time. So you have all different groups working together. And I think we would certainly not call a democracy or a perfect society, but it shows that even in pioneer times, people could work together if they saw, a way of helping each other, working with each other, making money, type of thing. Um, One thing is, the fort was a business site. It was a company, but at the same time, it was a community. People lived there. The whole community lived there. That's why you have these grave sites. People were born, they lived, and they died there, and they were buried there. And so, in a way, it was a whole way of life.